Sup you beautiful people. Hope you've had a fantastic day. Welcome back to another new episode of What If Naruto was taken by Yoda and trained to become a Jedi Knight. If you guys enjoy this what if, comment down below and let me know. And go ahead and check out other what ifs in the channel after watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like, and also share this video with your friends. So now let's start this video. The battle within the arena had been a bloody one, but the battle was far from over, as evident by the massive acclamator assault ships that had begun to land to unload clones and equipment. The gunship was being rattled constantly by flak from the enemy anti-air cannons. Everyone, sans Yoda and Naruto, was holding tight onto some part of the gunship. The clone pilot did his best to avoid the incoming barrage. Suddenly, a shockwave sent the Jedi reeling as a nearby gunship was blown out of the sky, the 4 Jedi inside dying instantly. Naruto quickly steadied himself with a bit more chakra, but he couldn't steady his quivering hands, so he resorted to balling them into fists. Another one, Naruto muttered. They had evacuated from the arena, but the losses didn't stop there. Of the 212 Jedi that took part in the arena battle, only about 94 have survived. Of that number, roughly 76 make that 72 were deemed fit for combat, and were in transit to the main theater of battle. The more seriously injured Jedi had been taken to the field trauma center for treatment. As the gunships approached closer and closer to the battlefield, Naruto could see the battle from above, and it was of epic proportions. So, what's the plan? Siri questioned him as Naruto shrugged his shoulders. I don't know. I'm not aware of this army's capabilities yet. Naruto answered as he turned to look at Yoda, who in turn looked at Windu. Sensing their uncertain stares, Windu surveyed the battlefield, his gaze turning to the massive core ships. Those would have to be taken care of. What about Dooku? Siri questioned as the others looked at Yoda, who hummed. If Dooku escapes, rally more systems to his cause, he will. Yoda proclaimed as Naruto hummed at that. Master Yoda, our priority should be to track him down. We can end this war before it even begins. The 5 of us should be able to take on Dooku. Naruto proposed his plan. Windu and Mundi were about to agree, Siri was about to protest, but Yoda shook his head before any of them could speak. On the battlefield, our experience, needed it is. Especially your tactics, Master Uzumaki. Yoda explained as Naruto sighed, letting the issue go. Windu then took the opportunity and started to explain the strategy he had devised. Those core ships cannot be allowed to leave. Each one contains enough battle droids to conquer an entire system. Our forces are engaging the droid army, trying to make a way for the heavy artillery to land. However, the area they are located is a flat barren field without almost no cover. An open field assault seems to be our only option. Windu started as Naruto shook his head. No, it isn't. I can see we have ordnance down there. Redeploy any damaged walkers perpendicular to the battle lines, use them as makeshift cover as we make our advance. If there are any totally destroyed, a Jedi should be able to move the wreckage with the Force. Naruto suggested. Windu took some time to consider it before agreeing silently, but Siri voiced her concerns. If the Jedi are busy fighting on the front lines, then trying to move a bunch of junk in the open would be suicidal. She pointed out. Suddenly, a nearby gunship fired missiles right above the fuel cells of a Hardcell-class cargo transport, destroying all of the droids and ordnance inside. Naruto turned his attention back to Siri. I know it's tempting to have us be the front line and deflect incoming blaster fire to protect the troopers, but we should actually be the rear line while the troopers are advancing. If we position our cover properly, we won't need to be out front unless the droids are right in our faces. Losses may be higher during the advance, but overall we should lose fewer troops. Naruto reassured. Master Mundi took note of Naruto's tactic and decided to chime in. You do not think we will catch Dooku, do you? He said wearily. Naruto's plan was prioritizing the survival of the clones. As if he was preparing for a long war. Naruto nodded solemnly. A lot more Jedi survived than I thought would. Master Yoda could only bring 21 clone legions. I had intended for each surviving Jedi to command their own legion, but it seems most of us will have to triple up. Master Windu contemplated the situation and began assigning clone legions to sets of knights and masters. Those with Padawans would have 4 in their group. Our task is to penetrate the droid lines and clear the way for the rest of our forces. The heavy artillery needs to have a clear shot to bring down those core ships. Windu stated as Naruto nodded. Casualties would no doubt still be high, considering they would be periodically fighting in the open. The gunship suddenly veered to the right, and the Jedi finally got a clear view of the separatist army. Naruto and Mundi both widened their eyes in shock. Siri's jaw had dropped all the way to the floor. That's a lot of droids, Siri commented flatly as Naruto hummed in thought. I don't think they started making this army recently. These numbers it has to have been in the making for at least a year, maybe 2. Naruto reasoned. The fact that so many core ships were in one region meant that the droid army was massive. Over 100 million at least. Yoda had only brought about 200,000 clones to back up what was maybe 90 Jedi left from the arena. The odds were heavily against their favor. With that thought, another gunship explosion rocked the air. 3 more Jedi had perished. Frustration again began to well up within Naruto, but Windu's shout snapped him out of it. "Pilot, land in that assembly area." Windu ordered the pilot, who complied and slowly brought the gunship down by the staging area. Windu, Mundi, Naruto, and Siri all jumped out of the gunship to meet with her before it took off once more with Yoda on board, heading to the forward command center. Once on the ground, Windu quickly met up with the 187th Legion, his personal regiment of clones. "Naruto, Siri, you two are tasked with leading the 497th Legion. You were supposed to be grouped with Master Kenobi and his Padawan, but they're nowhere to be found. I'm sure you can make do with just yourselves." Mundi relayed Master Windu's orders before heading off to find his own 21st Legion. Naruto and Siri nodded before they turned to face the front lines. Waves of clone troopers and armored walkers were trying to push up, but it was slow and bloody work. "There?" Naruto pointed, spotting the legion they were assigned. Siri nodded as the two began to make their way to the 497th Legion, who were already engaged with the enemy. One of the troopers was leading the way for the rest of his brothers. His yellow-striped armor marked him as a high-ranking commander. Proving himself to be an excellent warrior, he didn't even flinch at the incoming fire. However, he was thrown back as blaster fire hit his right shoulder. Thankful, his armor kept the damage superficial, but as he got up to fire back, a hail of blaster fire was opened on him. The trooper steeled himself. Was this the end for him? He was anticipating death, but it never came. "You alright?" He heard a voice. It was masculine in nature. Opening his eyes, he saw them, 2 Jedi, defending him from the incoming fire. "What?" The clone responded as Naruto turned to him. "Are you okay?" Naruto questioned again, more slowly this time, as the clone dumbly nodded. He had already been informed of the 2 Jedi generals coming to lead his legion. People with the ability to use the Force, though he never thought he would meet them this soon. "Yes, I'm fine." The clone answered as Naruto nodded before he deflected some blaster fire. "Siri, take over for a moment." Naruto ordered as she nodded. Naruto then turned to the clone and offered him a hand. "What's your name?" Naruto questioned as he lifted the clone back onto his feet. The clone grunted in slight pain, his shoulder a bit numb from being hit. "My designation is CC-40-10, sir. I'm Marshal Commander for the 497th. The clone saluted as Naruto raised an eyebrow. "Is it your name?" Naruto questioned as the clone looked at him, confused. "A name?" The Kaminins didn't give him a name, none of the others were given a name. They were simply given a designation number from the batch they were produced from. No. The clone responded as Naruto frowned. He wasn't going to go around calling everyone other clone by their designation number. No, that would drive him insane. He hummed, thinking of a name for the trooper before it hit him. "You're gonna be now known as Fox, understood?" Naruto questioned as CC-40-10 blinked at that. "Boy, are you doing this to just spit at me?" Kurama roared inside of Naruto's mind. Naruto rolled his eyes at that. "No. I just shortened his designation by turning the numbers into letters." Naruto answered with a grin as the Kurama grumbled. In Naruto's defense, it was partially true. Naruto turned his attention back to his commander, who looked like he was having an inner dilemma. "You don't like it?" Naruto questioned, wondering if the clone hated being referred by a name. The clone shook his head. "No sir, it's just that we were never really given names. It's pretty weird for someone to refer to us by names." The clone commander, now named Fox, answered as Naruto nodded. These were clones, created from the DNA of someone else. The creators most likely didn't care about giving them an identity. All they cared about was creating soldiers. "Well, get used to it. You're a living being, not some droid," Naruto stated as the clone's eyes whitened at that. He was referred to as a living being by someone for the first time. To their creators, they were just a business deal, something meant to be sold. "Right?" Fox answered, gaining a sense of personal identity. Naruto nodded as he turned to face the front lines. "I'm Naruto Uzumaki and that's Siri Tachi over there. We're now in charge of your legion, I guess. Our task was to make a path for the heavy artillery to take down these core ships. However, I am taking the liberty of altering that task." Naruto started as Siri turned around, and Fox raised an eyebrow. "And that is?" Siri questioned, wondering just what his plan was. Naruto smirked as he pointed at one of the core ships. "We are going to push all the way to that core ship and bring it down ourselves." Naruto answered as Siri and Fox looked at the massive core ship in the distance. "I'm in." Siri answered with a smirk of her own as Fox looked at them as if they were crazy before he chuckled. "Aw, yeah, let's blow those buckets of bolts straight to hell." Fox's enthusiastic answer surprised Naruto, who smiled back at him. Turning around, he walked next to Siri. Activating his saber once more, he raised it up. "Advance to the front," he shouted as he began to charge forward. Siri right next to him as Fox along with the rest of the legion, followed the two as they made a path for the legion. Naruto deflected the incoming fire as Siri jumped over an incoming missile as it blew behind her. "Careful, Siri," Naruto advised as she huffed, deflecting some blaster fire. "Like you're one to talk." When have you ever been careful about anything? She stated as she saw Naruto use the force and throw back several incoming missiles back at the droids. While the two were pushing forward, the clones behind them were providing support. Naruto frowned as he looked back for a minute. Despite the Jedis leading the charge, the clones were suffering high casualties due to the open condition of the battlefield. This open field is killing us, Siri said as Naruto nodded. But the droids' numbers are working against them a bit. They're clustered and hitting them with heavy weapons is easy, while the ones in the back can't get clear shots at us. But that won't last for long. We can't win a war of attrition and they're moving into better positions. We need to do something, and fast. Naruto reasoned as Siri hummed, thinking what she could do. I don't think there is anything we can do other than push forward. Siri responded as Naruto gritted her teeth. She kept pushing forward until a static droid position was in her sight. It was a large rocky spire formation with half a dozen bunkers built into it. It was acting like one hell of a strong point for the droid army. If we can take those bunkers, then we can establish a forward base, Siri pointed out as Naruto nodded. It was pretty far ahead of the front, but would make a perfect place to rally the troops and carry out attacks. Naruto signaled Fox to move up as their new clone commander did so. Yes, General. The clone questioned as Naruto pointed to droid's stronghold. Seeing where Naruto was pointing, Fox quickly understood what Naruto meant. We are going to assault those bunkers. Make sure the others know. Naruto ordered Fox, who nodded and brought his right hand up to his helmet and started to issue the orders. As of now, Naruto had to ask Fox to give out the orders, as he didn't have communication piece to issue them out himself. All set, sir. We've even got deployed our heavy ordnance. 2 8s are backing us, Fox reported, pointing to the large walkers that was steadily pushing up right behind them. Nodding, Naruto turned to Siri. Ready? He questioned as she nodded. The two quickly charged forward, the force enhancing their sprint to superhuman levels. The clones were left behind in the dust to catch up. Fox sighed at that before he shook his head and followed after as his brothers caught up to him. Are those two Jedi crazy? One of the clones, a captain according to his red stripes, questioned as Fox nodded as he aimed his rifle at the droid lines, which was getting closer by the second. Fox looked at the other legions and realized that they had pushed far further than any other. It was at this point he realized that securing the stronghold was necessary, or else they would be cut off from the rest of the army permanently unless they retreated. And from what he could tell about Naruto Uzumaki, he didn't like to retreat. Double time. We have to secure that stronghold. 6th Company, cover the flank, Fox ordered with urgency as he started to run towards the stronghold, his brothers following him. Had they realized it that quickly? Fox thought as he provided covering fire for his brothers. Did Naruto and Siri realize the situation they were in? Was General Uzumaki really thinking that far ahead? If so, then they were definitely better tacticians than him. He had much to learn despite the fact that he was a clone bred for war. With Naruto and Siri. Naruto and Siri were rapidly approaching the stronghold as they zigzagged towards it, repeatedly crossing each other's paths to confuse the droids. The stronghold at this point had changed targets, and began to focus fire on the two approaching Jedi. Siri, get ready, Naruto shouted as he got down on one knee as Siri gained speed. Stepping on his hands, Naruto boosted her up as she used the force to jump high in the air. Spinning in the air, Siri readied herself. Looking at the stronghold below, she used the force to bombard the rocky formation, tearing through rocky, leaving an opening for her to enter through. Landing, she looked up to see a bunch of battle droids. Hey, you're not authorized to be here, one of the battle droids stated as Siri grinned, activating her saber and quickly leaped forward, cutting down the first two droids closest to her. She spun around, dodging enemy fire, and sent a powerful force push in every direction, throwing the droids by the heavy blasters out of the bunker's opening. Spinning her saber around, she deflected a barrage of incoming fire, destroying the droids that fired upon her. She then heard the sound of something metallic rolling. Turning around, she spotted a few droidekas rounding the corner. Thinking quickly, she pulled the rolling droids towards her with the force before she cut them in half. That should be all, she muttered as she ran towards the blast door that kept the bunker sealed tight. Opening it, she saw Naruto standing there with Fox and a few clones. What took you so long? Naruto questioned sarcastically as he entered the bunker. The 2nd Company clones were right behind him and got to work moving down the bunker to secure it. Siri simply rolled her eyes. Fox ordered a handful of troopers to guard the entrance before catching up to where Naruto was. Take those heavy blasters and reposition them to face the droid lines. Naruto had cut through the rock and steel in order to open a firing position on the other side of the bunker. The 2nd Company clones quickly got to work and before long, had begun firing at the droid army, cutting down hundreds of B1s and B2s. Naruto's eyes wandered out the freshly man-made window, and the actions of the rest of his legion caught his eye. The 7th Company was taking the lead on the 2nd bunker. The captain and his men had strangely decided to close the distance, had taken the fight into close quarters, bashing the droids to pieces with his DC-15 rifle. They had perhaps gotten too carried away, because the 9th Company had to bail them out of a sticky situation. The sixth company was the complete opposite, taking the third bunker with a mix of tactics and meticulously constructed combat. It was at this time that the droids had finally realized what was going on and had started to defend the rest of their bunker positions. But that didn't stop the 497th. Naruto couldn't look away from the battle, entranced by the individuality of the 497's captains, despite them supposedly being clones of one another. He especially took note of the 1st and 5th companies' combined assault on the 4th bunker. The 1st company had one hell of a captain. Smart, skilled, and inspiring. He probably would be commanding his own legion at some point during the war. The 5th company, despite being the field trauma company, were giving the men an equal amount of hell. Their strength for a company composed mostly of combat medics had surprised Naruto. The 3rd company's tactics were exemplary. It took Naruto quite some time to figure out their ingenuity. Whoever their captain was, he was one hell of a whiz kid. They managed to take the 5th bunker all on their own with their superior tactics. By the time Naruto had turned to check on the 4th company's assault on the final bunker, he realized that they had already sprinted the extra 50 meters and taken the bunker before any of the other teams aside from his own. They were fast. Really fast. Their speed had completely blown Naruto away. Through the window, Naruto saw their captain using 2 DC-15A blaster rifles on rapid fire, and he was managing the recoil with ease. "Sir, there's some heavy artillery here," Fox reported. Naruto was snapped out of his entrancement by the sound of whirring gears and gadgets. Sure enough, the floor had opened up, revealing a heavy anti-air cannon rising. The top hatch of the bunker folded out to make room for the ascending artillery. "Good. Have some of our men man the artillery and knock out those Geonosians missile tanks. They're a death sentence for our walkers." Naruto ordered as Fox nodded and designated some of his brothers to do so. Naruto then turned his attention to the hologram that showed all droid positions. Looking down at it, he hummed, wondering what to do next. "The droid army's main battle lines are a mile and change from here. We can either let the droids' lines move forward and stop them here, or we push forward towards their line. But the next bit of cover is pretty far, so we might get caught out," Naruto said as Siri pointed to the course ships. "What about those course ships? We still need to take them down. If we wait too long they might take off," Siri stated as Naruto hummed. Fox looked at the two before he looked towards the map. He got an idea. "Sir, if I may." Fox started, gaining Naruto's attention, who gestured for him to go on. Fox pressed a few buttons and brought on a hologram of the gunships. "We could use a gunship to land on that course ship, destroy it from within," Fox suggested, knowing the risks the plan carried. Naruto thought on the plan put forth. It was 1 part crazy, 2 parts mad, and 3 parts absolutely insane. But with the lines being pushed up this far and the 497th having just taken the droid's primary anti-air position, it just might work. Plus, it was pretty badass. And you always have to give credit for style points. I like you, Fox. You might be just insane enough to actually be a genius. Get us some gunships." Naruto responded as Fox nodded with a Cheshire grin under his helmet and radioed on his communicator to requisition some gunships. The bunker rumbled as enemy artillery tried to pound away at it, but it was holding strong. "Droid battalion closing fast. 1st company, get into positions," one of the captains shouted as the droid line was approaching closer and closer, and with that the bunker was now within their range. "Open fire." The same clone shouted as the gunners started to open fire, firing at the incoming droids. Due to the fact that they were in bunkers, casualties were minimal. The 2As circled around the bunkers to get a clear line of sight before opening fire. This gave Naruto a chance to get a good look at the 8th company, their heavy weapons group, in action. Their captain was inexperienced and didn't have a great grasp of combat other than blow shit up, but the 8th did their job well, and the captain was respected enough by his men. The whir of 8 gunships came down from above. They landed right behind the bunker, and Naruto took note of the 4th and 7th companies piling into the gunships. While the other 8 companies in the 497th Legion had finally caught up and set up defensive positions outside the bunkers. The 10th company was quickly starting to fortify their positions, quickly digging trenches, and creating small barricades around the bunkers, creating cover to head behind. Their captain was rapidly directing them, quickly pointing to critical positions on the battlefield that were exposed to breakthrough attacks. "The gunships are here, Naruto," Siri yelled, rushing towards them. But Naruto hesitated to leave behind the rest of his legion. Fox had quickly taken notice of his hesitance, and immediately did his best to offer some reassurance. "Sir, I know you're worried, but I'm leaving CT-8149 in charge," he said, gesturing to the captain leading the 1st company. "He's a solid trooper. He can hold his own out here. We have a job to do." Fox's words hadn't dismissed the doubts in Naruto's mind, but they had brought him back to reality. He had to leave them behind. There was a bigger picture to consider. Naruto boarded the gunship with haste, leaving behind the rest of the Legion to hold their position. The gunships quickly lifted off and headed towards the course ship. As the gunship gained altitude, Naruto and Siri's eyes scanned the battlefield. Naruto saw a purple lightsaber leading the Republic's front line. Master Windu's legion had already taken down 2 core ships and was hammering a third with their spas. Yoda's and Plo Koon's groups had also destroyed 2 each. If was seen right, Masters Mundi and Fisto had also each taken out Own. Even Master Luminara and her Padawan had done the same. If all went well, Naruto would also be taking one down soon enough. The Separatist army was being routed on all fronts. All of the Republic's forward positions were advancing. Naruto saw dozens of Techno-Union Hard Cell class transports wrecked on the battlefield. The Diamond-class cruisers had so far been untouched, but it wouldn't be long before the army reached them. Naruto, look. Siri pointed to a speeder bike with 2 Geonosian fighters as escorts. Naruto squinted his eyes and spotted Dooku. He was going to order the pilot to change course, but he spotted 2 gunships pursuing the Separatist mastermind, one of them with Obi-Wan and Anakin on board. Dooku is no joke, but Obi-Wan seems to think he can manage it. He's older and wiser than me and is every bit my equal. I trust in his judgment. Anakin is also solid backup. He's pretty good for a Padawan, at least. Naruto thought to himself. He was still wary letting only 2 Jedi to deal with the Count, so he asked the pilot to hail Master Yoda. He would know what to do. Master Naruto, read me, you can. A voice came through the communication systems. It was definitely Master Yoda. Master Yoda, I've spotted Anakin and Obi-Wan pursuing Dooku, but I can't pursue. Please advise. Naruto spoke up over the intercom. Siri puffed up in rage when she heard Naruto's words. She would have ripped his head off there and then if he was speaking to anyone besides Grandmaster Yoda. Obi-Wan was her friend too, and she wasn't about to let him face Dooku alone. Transmit the coordinates to me, you should. Aid, I will send. Yoda gave his orders before the transmission was ended. The pilot was already at work transmitting the coordinates of Obi-Wan's gunship. You're going to pay for that when this is over, you know. Siri harshly jabbed Naruto's side with her elbow. Naruto winced in half-fake, half-real pain. They're going to be fine, Siri. Master Yoda's sending help, didn't you hear? Or are you getting deaf in your old age? Naruto received a loud slap across the face for his comment. He let out a chuckle as Siri put her red glove back on. Fox thought he heard her mutter a curse under her breath, but he didn't quite catch it. Both Naruto, Siri, and Fox. As Naruto had predicted, Separatist anti-air in the area was non-existent. They had fielded no starfighters, and what emplacement they had already been destroyed or captured by the encroaching clone army. The path to the core ship was a clear one. How are we going to get in? Our lightsabers can't cut through something that thick. Siri questioned Naruto, who merely blinked in response. We punch a hole. Naruto responded as Siri buried her face into her palm, and Fox started to rethink his opinion of General Uzumaki. We can use the gunship's missiles to create a superficial opening near the lower section of the bridge deck. From there, your weapons should be able to make it through. Fox suggested a new plan as Siri nodded. The concentrated barrage of missiles from these gunships should create an opening. As the gunships approached closer, they readied their missiles before firing them all near the bridge, breaking through the armor, creating an opening. One by one the gunships unloaded the clones, along with Naruto and Siri. Alright, listen up. This core ship controls its portion of droids on the battlefield, as well as those within this ship. We need to make our way to the control bridge and secure it before they realize we're here. Understand? Naruto ordered as Siri, Fox and the clones nodded. Seems like you know your way around this thing pretty well. You've done this before. Fox commented as Naruto chuckled. Yeah, something like this. Not sure of the locus for the bridge controls, but I know where we need to go. Naruto answered. He hadn't taken out an entire core ship, but he had been inside one of the Lucre hulks that carried these things into hyperspace. Look at you, using such fancy words like locus. And here I was thinking your vocabulary was limited. Siri jabbed. And if I recall right, you almost died on that mission, she added, remembering the fiasco on Naboo. We should really get going to the locus of the bridge. Naruto jabbed back, not wanting her to continue that story. They began to head down the hallways, which were quite empty, until they rounded the corner. The corridor ahead was filled with an entire battalion of droids. That's a lot of droids. Siri commented flatly. Naruto was about to call her out on the deja vu, but the super battle droids leveling their blasters kept him from running his mouth. The oncoming barrage of blaster fire forced Naruto and Siri to quickly activate their sabers and get to work deflecting them. Naruto grunted as the number of droids down the passage was getting out of hand. Siri, take a squat and find a different route. We're not getting through this way anytime soon. Naruto ordered as Siri frowned before she nodded, understanding that there were too many droids for them to push through quickly. Alright. I'll see you on the other side. Siri responded as she took a platoon of clones through a side hallway. Ideas, sir? Fox questioned as he fired his blaster at the droids, getting clean hits as Naruto defended the clones from the incoming fire. Naruto frowned as they slowly pushed forward, cutting down a few droids in the process. Watch those wrist rockets. The clone shouted as a super battle droid fired a rocket. The rocket flew over the group and exploded behind them, throwing them forward as Naruto held his ground. Damn it. Naruto grit through his teeth. The missile had caused some hot shrapnel lodge itself in his back, somehow still fighting through the pain. The clones quickly stood up, shaking away the slight pain in their heads, as they once again resumed firing upon the droids. Sir, we need to fall back, Fox advised. No, we have to push through, otherwise those droids will turn around and go right after Siri, Naruto stated as Fox shook his head. Sir, you are wounded. We need to at least get you out of here, Fox advised once more as Naruto frowned. Kurama has been holding back on his regenerative abilities for quite a while. Damn Fox. You'd better get to work unless you want us both to die, Naruto shouted in his mind, only to get a low huff in return. He wasn't going to go to him for power. He was strong enough on his own. With a roar, Naruto charged forward at great speeds into the group of droids, cutting through them. Go. Go. Fox ordered as he and his brothers charged forward, covering their commander as Naruto cut through droid after droid. The slow advance towards the other side of the hull had become a rapid push as Naruto used brute strength and his stamina to push through. Even then there were so many droids. This eventually forced Naruto and the clones to take cover, as they were starting to become overwhelmed by the number of droids. The group of clones were also taking losses as evident by the bodies of dead clones. Seeing this, one of the clones clutched his blaster rifle. You goddamn heaps of scrap, the clone muttered as he grabbed a thermal detonator and vaulted from his cover, throwing the grenade into the group of droids, before opening fire with his DC-15 on full auto. Take this, you bunch of bastards. The captain's shout was somehow heard over the explosion as charged into melee range of the droids, smashing plenty of them with the butt of his rifle. His brothers in the 7th Company followed his example and charged in after him. Naruto meanwhile was impressed by the 7th Captain's continued bravery in storming the enemy lines. Then, it suddenly hit him. Storm. Naruto muttered to him as Fox raised an eyebrow. Sir? He questioned as Naruto pointed at the clone who led the charge. That trooper's name. It's Storm. I couldn't think of anything better, Naruto stated as Fox blinked at that as he looked at the now named Storm, who was bludgeoning droids with his rifle like it was a sport. If his memory serves him well, CT-2607 was considered a troublemaker during his training on Kamino. The clone's tactics were considered suicidal, but somehow worked most of the time. His recklessness also reflected on his actions as he put himself in the line of fire without orders. It still baffled him that he had managed to become a captain in charge of the 7th Company. Best that fits him, Fox reasoned. 2607 and his brothers always did prefer storming the enemy lines like that. With a nod, Naruto and Fox too vaulted from their cover, joining the rest in the fight. With Siri. Siri was having better luck than Naruto and his group was. They had encountered only light resistance, allowing them to push through. Suddenly, the ship rocked as its restraints released, and the engines roared. Siri looked out a nearby plasteel window, only to see the ground shrinking beneath them. The core ship was taking off. Move it, Siri ordered as she cut through some droids with haste, the clones following close by, blasting away at the droids. Reaching the turbo lift, they quickly went up, towards the floor on which the bridge was located. Think we'll find the commander in there? One of the clones questioned Siri as she hummed. If he was able to push through then yes, we will. Siri answered, thought she hoped that he would be there first. As the door opened, she and the clones filed out, heading towards the bridge, which was wide open. They blasted the security droids, as well as some of the technical droids. What is the meaning of this? The ship's captain yelled, the Nimwadian clearly not happy with being held at gunpoint. While the rest of the bridge crew attempted to react, they were quickly dispatched thanks to the clones. Where are you? Siri whispered to herself, her concern readily apparent due to her tapping foot. However, her concerns were put to rest not long after as one of the doors outside of the bridge was violently blown open, causing Siri and the clones to turn their attention towards the entrance to the bridge. That was fun. She heard Naruto's voice and sighed as she spotted him. He looked like he had been through quite the fight and was using Fox as support to walk, given the state he was in. He looked out of breath too. What happened to you? Siri questioned as Naruto took in some oxygen. The turbo lift was out of service, so we took the stairs, Naruto answered as he walked into the bridge, all the while Siri frowned. She could see that he was clearly injured, given the fact that his whole back was bleeding. You need to stop being so reckless, Naruto, Siri stated as she and the clone medic began to treat his wounds. Naruto rolled his eyes before forcing them shut in pain as the shrapnel was pulled out of his back. Could you be a little nicer? Naruto requested, only to wince in pain again as Siri huffed and pulled the last bit of shrapnel out of his back. No? If I keep babying you, you won't learn to be more careful, Siri sighed. When have I ever been careful about anything? Siri was about to call him out on the deja vu, but was interrupted by the clones chuckling at the scene. Naruto turned away in embarrassment, and Siri couldn't help but grin at yet another win. The medic had patched Naruto up enough, who got back to the task at hand. Okay, let's see. Naruto thought out loud as he studied the command console and began to press a few buttons. He was trying to deactivate the droids that this course ship had control of, but then a better thought came into his mind, and he began to chuckle. Is everything alright, sir? Fox questioned as Siri shook her head. Leave him. Knowing him, he's up to something, she told Fox, who only raised an eyebrow. What did that even mean? On the battlefield, the remainder of the 497th Legion was holding out strong against all odds. After their commanders had departed to take down the course ship, the droids began to advance faster, and they happened to be the closest to front lines. Not only that, but they had been cut off from the rest of the army. This happened due to the Republic's entire frontline advance had been pushed west, away from the 497th in the eastern bunkers. This meant the droids were now split between the entire Republic army and the 497th Legion. Cut off from the main force and facing overwhelming odds, CT-8149 had to think quickly. The droids began to besiege the stronghold, as the 8th still provided infantry support, despite taking heavy damage. I'm out of ammo, one of the clones said as he ducked behind cover. They were running out of supplies, and they couldn't get any supplies due to be cut off. I'm almost out too, his brother responded as they kept on fighting the fast approaching the droids. However, a portion of the droid army ceased their advance and just stood there, leaving the clones confused. What the? 8149 questioned as they watched the droids just standing there. That is, before the B-1s all turned around, aiming for our own fellow droids, leaving the clones even more confused, and giving the rest of the clone army the chance to move up further to relieve the trapped legion. Taking advantage of the situation, the clone army went on a full offensive, driving back the droids, and clearing a path for the heavy artillery. With Naruto. Naruto chuckled with excitement as he watched the droids turn on each other, allowing the clone army the opening they needed. I don't believe it, Fox muttered as he looked down at the battlefield below. Naruto had turned the tide of the battle. As the clones watched the battle below, Siri walked up to Naruto. Sir, how did you direct the droids to attack each other? Fox questioned as he followed Naruto to the hangar. Even though they altered the B-1s to have their own independent though processors, they still have a uniform shutdown signal that can be broadcast from the course ship. Using that, I remotely shut down only the droids targeting programming. They're shooting at everything blind, and their droid friendlies are the closest thing in their targeting scanners. And the best part is the separatist commanders can't do anything about it because their shutdown signal is different. Naruto answered with a grin as Fox thought over the response. Naruto wasn't just a Jedi, but also well versed in technology, and with blasters if the one he had with him said anything. That was a great plan. Now we've got to land this thing, she commented as Naruto grinned and give her thanks. Actually, sir, if I may, I think I've got a better one. Fox chimed as Siri raised an eyebrow. Really? She stated incredulously as Naruto swept his arm in a be my guest gesture. Fox walked towards the navigation computer and started type away, setting a new course for the course ship. Once done, he backed away from the navigation computer and looked to the rest, as the ship suddenly shifted its upward ascent to an angular one. Alright, it's time to find us a ship out of here and fast, Fox stated as the group quickly exited the bridge. However, before they left, Siri made sure to seal the bridge blast doors, so that the droids couldn't change the course that the vessel was set on. Making their way down to the hangar was easy, considering that the droids within the ship were now fighting each other. This way, Siri shouted, turning left as the hangar came in their sight, and it was chaos. Droids were fighting droids, causing the whole hangar to be littered with destroyed droids, starfighters, tanks, and other debris. The group came to a halt as they scanned the hangar for a shuttle or transport. There's one. Siri pointed towards an intact shuttle, all the way across the hangar. The group quickly began to run towards the shuttle, as the battle within the hangar raged on. The chaos within the hangar forced Naruto and Siri to use their saber to deflect the crossfire, while the clones followed close by, firing at the nearby droids. Arg! Fox shouted as he was hit by the crossfire, causing him to fall onto the floor as the group pushed forward. However, Naruto turned to find Fox on the ground, wounded from the stray shot. He quickly turned and ran up to the downed Fox. Medic! Naruto yelled, only for him to look up and notice the medic had just fallen in battle. You alright? Naruto questioned as Fox grunted. Naruto looked at Fox's back to find multiple blaster shot shadows on the white armor. Go on, sir, I'll only slow you down, Fox responded, telling Naruto to go on without him. Naruto shook his head, he wasn't going to lose another trooper. Oh no, you're not playing the hero today. That's my job, Naruto stated as he grabbed Fox and hoisted him over his shoulders, and quickly began to catch up to the group despite his own injuries. Come on, Siri shouted as she and a couple of clones secured the shuttle and waited for Naruto and Fox. Quickly reaching the shuttle, Naruto set the wounded Fox down inside of it. Hey, can you treat him? Naruto questioned as Siri took a quick look at Fox's wounds. Yeah, I can patch him up with what I have left, but he's going to need proper treatment, Siri responded as she quickly got to work. Naruto nodded and turned to the cockpit and realized that he needed another pilot, and Siri was busy. He quickly turned around and looked at the group of clones. Okay, any here have experience piloting anything like this? Naruto questioned as the clones looked at one another before one of them stepped forward. I do, sir. The captain of the 4th company, CT-6510, responded as he raised his hand. Nodding, Naruto pulled the clone into the cockpit. Alright, cause this shuttle needs a co-pilot, so let's get to work. Naruto said as the clone nodded and took the seat next to Naruto's, and the two quickly started up the shuttle. Taking a deep breath, 6510 slowly started to levitate the shuttle. Here goes nothing, Naruto said as the shuttle started to gain speed, traveling through the hangar of the core ship. The shuttle rocked as it was hit by a stray shot. Damn it. The 6510 shouted as he pulled hard, preventing the shuttle from crashing into the hangar. Keep it together, Naruto ordered as they guided the damaged shuttle out of the hangar. He smirked. They were out of the hangar, meaning they were in the clear. You better hurry. Siri's voice called out from the back of the shuttle as Naruto raised an eyebrow. Why? We're in the clear, Naruto responded as Siri walked into the cockpit and pointed. That's why, she shouted as Naruto looked outside of the shuttle and his eyes widened. The core ship had just crashed into another one. Fox was silently regretting his decision. Oh shit, Naruto responded as the explosion of the two core ships colliding sent shockwave, rocking the shuttle and knocking it out of course. Hold, Naruto shouted as the pilot tried to hold the shuttle in its course. My controls are dead, Naruto shouted as the shuttle rapidly descended towards the ground. Siri, take over. Siri was pushed into the seat by Naruto as she looked at him as if he was crazy. What? I'm not even a good pilot, he shouted as she took over, barely holding the shuttle in its course. Naruto didn't respond as he took in a deep breath as he closed his eyes. Anytime now? Siri shouted. The ground was getting dangerously close. Naruto's eyes shot open as he shot his hands forward, lifting the shuttle into the air with the force ever so briefly. The angle was much better than the head-first crash landing. But they still impacted the ground hard. Everyone on board learned a lesson in futility as they tried to keep themselves standing. The shuttle skidded across the desert plains before grinding to a halt. My head. Siri held her head as she shook the headache away. Naruto however chuckled at her as he patted away the dust. What was it that Obi-Wan always says in situations like these? Naruto questioned her as she rolled her eyes. Another happy landing, she answered with a groan as Naruto continued to chuckle in pain. Those were some pretty flashy maneuvers there, Flash. She was addressing the 4th company captain. When everyone turned to face her, she scoffed. What? Naruto got to name one of you. Don't I get a say? She managed to get out between ragged breaths. Neither Naruto nor Flash had any complaints. Oh my back. Storm moaned out in pain as he stood up. The crash might not have been as bad as it was going to be, but it still hurt like a Sanuvabich. At least you weren't blasted by those frost buckets. Fox grunted as he stood up, still feeling the blaster pain 10 times over. Naruto shook his head as he walked up to the door and pressing the button. However, it seemed like that the door refused to open, causing Naruto to sigh. Putting his hand on the shuttle door, he sent a blast of force, throwing the doors out open by force. That is quite the sight, the clone muttered out as they all looked outside, as the two core ships exploding violently, triggering their descent back to the ground. In a way, it looked quite beautiful. With two more core ships destroyed, the droid army began a full retreat. Look, shouted, pointing to another core ship being brought down by heavy artillery fire from the rest of the 497th. From his initial count of core ships, the Separatists had lost more than a quarter of their forces. The battle was over. The Republic had won. Seems like we won, Siri said. She walked up to Naruto, who could only sigh. Yes, but at what cost? Naruto questioned, pondering on the 100 or so Jedi that had lost their lives. Worse, war had just begun. A war on a scale that hadn't been seen since the Rasan Reformation. 2 hours later. So, Dooku gets away and Skywalker got his arm chopped off. Naruto questioned Obi-Wan, who sighed. After the battle was over, Naruto had returned to the rally point, where all the Jedi had gathered, sans Anakin, who was being treated in the field trauma center. Dooku is a formidable opponent. He wasn't a Jedi Master without reason. Obi-Wan recalled the events that led up to Anakin losing hand. Anakin's use of Form V was what allowed him to keep pace with the Count, who only managed to defeat Anakin. Naruto frowned at the news. They had won the battle, but the key target had escaped. Even most of the Separatist leadership had managed to escape. Well, I guess he got too overconfident, Naruto stated as Obi-Wan hummed at Naruto's response. Yes. Anakin thought he could take on the Count alone, but clearly he wasn't ready. Obi-Wan reasoned with a sigh as he sat down, thinking over his Padawan's brashness. Well, I hope he recovers soon. We are going to need as many skilled Jedi as possible, Naruto stated as Obi-Wan nodded. Anakin was great for a Padawan, but the encounter with the Count proved that he was lacking some important qualities. He would have to fix Skywalker's blade work. Naruto sighed as he turned and began to leave. The battle had left him tired, and all he wanted to do now was to relax and unwind before being thrown back into the meat grinder. You okay? Naruto heard Siri as she laid a hand on his shoulder, causing him to sigh and let go of his anger. I'm fine, just frustrated. Naruto answered as Siri hugged him from behind. It's okay, you know. We survived the battle. She said as Naruto smiled slightly. She always knew what to say to lift the mood. That we did. Naruto responded with a chuckle as Siri blushed. The sound of his heartbeat and laughter caused her own heart to beat faster. Yeah. And we even made some friends. Siri responded as she let go of him as he turned around. And we did that too. Naruto responded once again, remembering the clones he had fought alongside. Chuckling, he began to make his way to a gunship with Siri following close by. Naruto's attitude had changed over the course of the battle. Seems like he's gonna be okay, she thought with a smile. Naruto seemed to be reverting back to his old self. Coruscant, 6 days later. A few days had passed since the battle, and Chancellor Palpatine had officially made the declaration of war against the Confederacy of Independent Systems. This declaration meant that the Republic had to rapidly change into a war economy. The Republic had already ordered 1,000 additional acclimator ships from Rathana Heavy Engineer. Crew Drive Yards, his parent company, had also been commissioned to design and build a new series of powerful carrier ships, for use specifically by the Republic. Crew's main competitor, Rendili's Stardrive, had also taken their own bid to develop capital ships. The military draft had been posted, and the 3 million clones that Sifo Dyas had somehow ordered without anyone's knowledge would be supplemented by 13 million conscripts and volunteers. The sudden existence of a clone army had raised some questions, but those were put to rest when they realized that the regular army was much better off with them than without. Naruto was with a group of Jedi overlooking a large army of clones that was gathered on Coruscant. The army had been gathered for a show of power and strength, and most importantly, to assure the citizens of the Republic that the war would be brought to a swift end. Swift end, they say. Naruto thought to himself as he overlooked the army. There was no way this war was going to end anytime soon. The Republic had far superior troops, but the Confederacy outnumbered them. 200 to 1 at least. Naruto turned from the tall window and began to head to the main halls of the temple. High Council Chamber. The High Council Chamber was unusually empty, with Yoda, Windu, and the newly promoted Obi-Wan being the only occupants. The three were talking about the coming days and the war that had just began. Do you believe what Count Dooku said about Sidious controlling the Senate? It doesn't feel right. Obi-Wan couldn't help but share what Dooku had told him during his time on Geonosis. Joined the dark side, Dooku has. Yoda dismissed Obi-Wan's concerns. Lies, deceit, creating mistrust, are his ways now. Yoda couldn't help but feel a little betrayed by his former Padawan. Nevertheless, I feel we should keep a closer eye on the Senate. Windu recommended constant vigilance be their next course of action. Yoda voiced his agreement, but their meeting was interrupted by a surprise guest. Ah, Master Yoda, Master Windu, and congratulations to you, Master Kenobi, the 3 Jedi Master, heard the voice of Sheev Palpatine. Turning around, they saw the Supreme Chancellor with a gaggle of senators from the Loyalist Committee. Chancellor Palpatine. Senators. Master Windu responded as he bowed slightly. Obi-Wan did the same, thanking the senator for his congratulations, and Yoda get up from his chair to join the conversation. Palpatine had requested that he meet with them before the deployment began, to which the council had accepted. Although they didn't expect the Chancellor to come to them. What can we do for you? If I may have a moment of your time, I have been made aware of a certain Naruto Uzumaki's actions during the battle on Geonosis. And dare I say he raised a fair bit of hell. Palpatine was praising a Jedi he hadn't even met. His tactical prowess and leadership skills in the heat of the battle are second to none in the Order. Obi-Wan said as he walked over and looked down at the clone army that was assembled outside. Mace merely raised an eyebrow. What was he getting at? I don't follow. Windu questioned Palpatine, who sighed lightly before turning to Naruto. Master Jedi, I am sure you know that the army will be divided between the 20 over-sector armies. I had planned for these to be led by your most esteemed Jedi Masters, but the Republic needs more military-minded leaders like him. As such, I want to ask your permission to appoint him as a senior Jedi General for one of these sector armies. Do you think this is wise? Windu questioned. Palpatine was about to answer when he realized the question was directed at Master Yoda, who closed his eyes in thought. Strong with the Force, young Naruto is. A great commander, no doubt he is. Ready for this level of responsibility, he could be. Yoda answered as Windu nodded. To be honest, he would have fought on Naruto's behalf on taking that position. Naruto was one of the few, if not only Jedi Knights, to have the experience with leading large number of soldiers into battle. True, but I don't think it's time for him to be made a master. Windu turned back to Palpatine. The war had begun, and they needed experienced Jedi. Strong Jedi. Naruto was a good candidate, but he was still too young and too reckless to be granted that rank. Maybe once the war was over he would be ready. Heavens no, Master Jedi. I'm not asking you to make him a master. I would not want to violate your code or traditions. I'm only asking you to make an exception that Naruto Uzumaki be allowed to lead a sector army. I want to have one assembled specifically for him and his talents as soon as possible. The Chancellor elaborated on his request. Yoda hummed, and Mace turned back to him. Obi-Wan returned to staring out the window. Bring him before us, Chancellor. If Master Naruto believes himself to be ready for such a task, then I am in agreement. The Chancellor smiled widely at Mace's words, as he and his entourage of senators turned to search for the Jedi in question. I have to admit that without Naruto, many more Jedi would have been lost. And without the clones there would not have been a victory. Obi-Wan finally chimed in the conversation. Windu agreed. Naruto was invaluable in the arena. Thanks to his battle meditation, 62 Jedi returned to Coruscant unscathed, and another 24 would eventually recover from their injuries. Victory. Victory, you say. Master Obi-Wan, not victory. Yoda inhaled solemnly before speaking his next words. The shroud of the dark side is fallen. Begun, the Clone War has. Obi-Wan and Mace shared an anxious glance at one another before turning to view the clones outside. In the temple halls. Compared to the council chambers, the rest of the Jedi temple was abuzz with activity. With the war starting, the Jedi were quick to be mobilized. Non-essential missions were put on indefinite halt as their priorities had changed. Defending the Republic was at the top of that list. When Naruto Uzumaki was walking about through the hallways, taking in the atmosphere. There you are. Naruto heard as he turned to find Siri standing behind him, a sense of pride around her. Naruto raised an eyebrow at that. Something good must have happened. You look a little too giddy. Naruto stated as Siri giggled as she walked up to him, puffing her chest in confirmation of his response. I was made a master. She said as Naruto's eyes smiled at her as he ruffled her hair with a grin. Will you look at that, little Siri is finally a Jedi Master. Naruto congratulated with laughter as Siri huffed and swatted away his hand. I'm 8 years older than you, runt. She shouted with a blush as Naruto only laughed louder, causing Siri to blush even more. She was rather tall for a woman, but she and Naruto both stood 2 inches shy of 6 feet tall. Although that didn't stop her from reminding him of his shorter years. Once he had calmed down, he gave her a warm smile, which made her blush even more intense. I'm proud of you, Siri. You will make a fine Jedi Master. Naruto said warmly as Siri looked away in embarrassment. You would make a great one too, she whispered. Now that she and Obi-Wan were promoted, Naruto was probably the best Jedi Knight in the order. He was so different than the others, powerful and skilled, yet kind and wise. Maybe not the smartest, but the best. I am assuming Obi-Wan was also promoted. Naruto questioned, breaking her out of her thoughts. Of course. She confirmed Naruto's assumption. Obi-Wan was already one of the Old Guard, the unofficial group of Jedi likely to be appointed to the High Council. It was only a matter of time before he was granted the rank, and not much longer before he would be one of the High Council. This war had only hastened his promotion. Well, I guess we should grab Obi-Wan go out to celebrate while we still can. Naruto questioned as Siri nodded. Whatever little moments of peace and quiet they could find, they would seize them because the war was not going to give them any. Master Uzumaki. If I may have a word with you. A voice drew both their attentions to the Supreme Chancellor. Naruto groaned internally. There was always something to drag him away from time with his sister. Go on ahead, Siri. Order a drink for me and I'll catch up when I get there. Siri nodded as Naruto turned back to speak with the Chancellor, who had been joined by his entourage of senators. What do you need? Naruto asked Palpatine, who disregarded the irreverent manner he questioned him in. I suppose it is best if we skip the small talk, as I see you're in a hurry to spend time with your loved ones, the Chancellor started. Quite simply, my boy, I think you're due for a promotion. Naruto's eyes lit up. You mean to Jedi Master? This is too soon, Naruto thought. He had only been a Jedi Knight for 2 years now. Obi-Wan and Siri had been knights for nearly 10. He expected to be at least in his late 20s before a promotion was even considered. Naruto's thoughts were racing with equal parts excitement and confusion. Palpatine took notice of this and waved his hands in a calming motion. Slow down, my boy. Although I would like to see that happen, I'm not in a position to grant you the rank of Master. I am, however, in a position to give you a different sort of promotion. A military one. Naruto suddenly understood a bit more but was still confused. Palpatine continued on. Master Naruto, your actions on Geonosis were no less than miraculously heroic. You probably saved at least 30 Jedi from certain death in the arena. Each and every one of them owes you their lives. That was true. His battle meditation did work enough wonders that even Dooku and his pet bounty hunter had to single him out. If that wasn't enough, you and the clones you commanded destroyed 1 million or so droids all on your own. You saved no less than 3 worlds from a potential separatist invasion. These feats cannot be ignored. Not even by someone like me. So, I think it's time that I repay some of the debt the Republic owes you. Palpatine took a long breath. Naruto's heart was racing in anticipation. Naruto Uzumaki, with yours and the Jedi Council's permission, I would like to appoint you as a senior Jedi General in the Grand Army of the Republic. Palpatine finally announced. Naruto stood in shock, not noticing the multitude of heads that were turning to stare in light of the proclamation. A senior Jedi General. That was a rank that was supposed to be reserved for a select few masters. Most masters were going to be assigned more troops to command than a knight would be, but they were still Jedi Generals. They just commanded an entire corps instead of a legion. But a senior general commanded an entire army. Palpatine's offer was a tremendous one, and the council had already approved of his wartime promotion. Naruto's gaze drifted to window, catching sight of the clone army amassing in the distance in contemplation. As the haze in his head had started to clear and he turned to Palpatine. Are you sure? Naruto barely stuttered out his question. My boy, I'm more than sure of this. The Republic needs military commanders of your caliber. We need to meet with the Jedi Council to approve your appointment, but it's all but been decided. You just have to agree, and you'll be put in charge of the 10th Sector Army. Palpatine gave a warm, yet unsettling smile. Naruto was considering so many things. A sector army had nearly 150,000 troops in it. Naruto hadn't even commanded a tenth of that number on Geonosis. Was he capable of something like this? It was a huge responsibility. Suddenly, a senator stepped forth from behind Palpatine and spoke up. Naruto immediately recognized her. Master Naruto, you helped save my home planet of Naboo from the Trade Federation invasion. You were stranded on a planet foreign to you, yet you managed to collect a group of dedicated resistance fighters to protect my people from tyranny. It was I who brought your heroic deeds to the Chancellor's attention, and it was I who recommended that the Chancellor give you this charge. I have absolute faith in you, Naruto Uzumaki. You're more than capable of this. Padme's words inspired Naruto deeply. She took a step back, giving a short bow of apology to the Chancellor, but she had dismissed the doubts in Naruto's head. I have one condition. Naruto finally answered as Palpatine raised his eyebrows before he nodded, inviting Naruto to go on. I want the 497th Clone Legion to be part of it. Naruto requested as Palpatine smiled before nodding. That can easily be arranged, my boy. You shall be given the details later. For now, let us give the council your answer and get you to your friends so you can enjoy yourselves. I hope to hear more of you, Naruto. You are a great asset to the Republic. Palpatine commended Naruto, who bowed respectfully before following. That man is not to be trusted. The Kyuubi warned Naruto, to which Naruto rolled his eyes. You want to talk? Naruto shot back as the Kyuubi grumbled before falling silent, letting Naruto be. The blonde Jedi Knight began to head to the council chambers before they were kept waiting too long. Thanks for listening. I do hope you enjoyed. If you want the next part of this video, like, subscribe and comment down below, and turn on the bell notification. And also check out other videos that I have created and enjoy. See you in the next video. Peace.